So welcome back, people. And if you're actually new to this channel, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy this review I'm about to do, because today we are gonna get crazy. So for those of you that do not know, Rolex in 2021 released the most expensive model that they have ever had, period. Hands down to this point, it is the watch that has the highest retail ever. Believe it or not, a lot of people did not even know what the retail was, because when some of these off-catalog pieces come out, you know, they just kind of don't really put out a damn retail. I mean, if you go right now onto the website, there's even some of these platinum day dates and stuff like that that don't even have a retail listed. So you can't really even see a retail. Nevertheless, one of these off-catalog supersonic pieces, that's kind of what I like to call them nowadays, supersonic pieces, yes. Maybe I should just copyright it this time, so that way, the same way the whole heavy hitter thing spread like wildfire, maybe the supersonic thing this time I can collect some royalties. Just kidding, y'all. That's my free gift to the community. So before we get into this, make sure you hit that link and subscribe, because, I mean, I feel like we're kind of getting warmed up here. I just think that from here, it's just only going to get bigger and better. Let's see what comes out. But anyways, the watch that I'm going to be doing today is the Skydweller full pave diamonds with baguette and meteorite dial. I actually have it on my wrist right now. Have a look at it here. The only thing I can say is, wow. Like, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, honestly, it's been, I think, forever since I've put on a full bust-down watch, but I can't stop looking at it, and it just looks crazy because Rolex is Rolex. This thing is out of control. I would say this is what I call definitely a supersonic piece. Retail is $728,000 without tax. So depending on what the tax rate of whatever country you live in, I mean, if it's some of these places out there where the taxes are crazy, who knows? But over here in the US, by the time you pay the taxes, this thing will cost you a bit shy, maybe a Batman Jubilee shy of $800,000. And that is a very, very, very high retail. I'm not really sure exactly what is it that they put on this watch that can justify that retail, but Rolex knows what they're doing. So on first impression, when I saw this watch in the catalog, I feel that the first one that really got my attention was the rubber strap model. I feel that I like the contrast of the black rubber strap with the head all pave. However, I did notice that they had some crude pictures of full bracelet model right here. And, you know, when I initially saw this watch on my wrist, or not even before I even put it on my wrist, when I saw it in my hand, you know, the first thing that got my attention was the fact of what's up with the bracelet. The bracelet is a bit massive. Like, instead of the standard Skydweller bracelet where it kind of tapers as you go down into the links where it meets the clasp, this one kind of has that continuous link exactly like the Masterpiece, where they're the same millimeters all the way down, and then they changed and put a hidden clasp, which at first, when I saw it, I thought to myself, man, I'm not really too sure I like that, because when you're looking at the watch and it's kind of like folded over, you know, not on your wrist, I thought, I'm not sure how I feel about that bracelet without it tapering. However, once you put it on your wrist and you see it, you then realize that, of course, Rolex does it again. What will you come up with next, Rolex? I mean, I'm being straight up, guys. At first, when I saw it, I wasn't sure if I liked the bracelet. Now that I have it on my wrist and you do several wrist rolls, you realize these fuckers know what they're doing. I mean, obviously this watch is targeted towards a very specific group. This isn't for everybody. If anybody can fact check for me, please let me know. I heard there's only 5 of these in the world. Maybe it is, maybe there's not. You know, I would say even if there's only 25 to 50, That's still not a lot. But however, there's only 5 of these in the world. I mean, I think that would be crazy. One of the greatest things that I saw about this model is obviously the meteorite dial. I mean, look, I know that right now, anything that meteorite touches, it's gone. Boom. Supersonic again, out of the world. I love the look. See, I can't even stop looking at it. I love the look of the factory diamonds everywhere with that meteorite dial. I think they did the right thing. They put 10 baguettes on the dial as the hour markers. Obviously, they executed it very clean. Another one of my favorite things about this model is going to be this bezel. Now, look, guys, I usually don't own or wear bust-down watches. Yes, there was a time period there where the bust-downs were, a bit more of a thing, and they were a bit more in fashion, we'll say. These were all mostly aftermarket bust-downs. I think at that moment, the grail bust-down was the GMT. I believe Cristiano Ronaldo has one, Mark Wahlberg. It was a factory set GMT from Rolex, which was insane with baguettes and everything, full 9. That watch was like totally crazy. But, however, I do appreciate them. I do like seeing them, and factory is factory. I don't know what it is about Rolex diamonds, but they have the best, some of the best diamonds in the watch game. It could be the most bling watch by Rolex, but I would think that the GMT is pretty damn close because the GMT has a full pave dial. But personally, I kind of like the contrast of that meteorite dial. That way it's like, it's already too much as it is. Let's just be straight up. This watch is like bling extra. But the pave dial would take it over the top. I feel like the meteorite is just right. One of the main things that I love about this watch is this bezel. The bezel has flawlessly cut diamonds set in there. It's perfection. And one of my favorite things that this watch has is the detail that on the outer edge of the bezel, it still has, a nice little triangular shaped pyramid, motif all the way around the outside of the bezel. Can't call it coin edge. It's something else. But that detail to me is kind of like one of my favorite things about the bezel. It just kind of is finished so well. Of course, rotates from the standard, bezel command system that these Skydwellers have. And then, of course, the rest is set traditional. Nowadays, when you have these modern pave sets where they flower everything and roll over all the edges, a lot of the factory houses don't do this. They still leave, the edges how they do before. They don't flower everything and round out everything. Of course, factory set. How do you think it's going to look? I mean, Rolex uses specific cut diamonds. Of course, they're round, but they do the little tweaks, and they're all decolored and probably all flawless. Who knows? Rolex does not fuck around. As I was trying this on and I was kind of here under these lights, you can see how much the diamonds were dancing. I mean, and I wouldn't even say dancing. I would go ahead and say these motherfuckers were twerking on the wrist. I mean, it's crazy. The amount of diamonds that this thing has, it's crazy. But really, who is a client for a watch like this? I think really it's going to have to be obviously the rich elite, but mostly probably the superstars. You have Drake that has one of these watches. He had the one on the rubber strap for a while, which he was wearing. And then I don't know if he still kept that or what, or traded it in, because you never know with these people. But then he got the full bracelet one. And of course, it's easy for him to have it because I think, he's probably worth over $500 million. Who knows? But he definitely has the amount of cash to wear this. But I tell you what, if I was in that position and I was going to wear a fully iced out piece, this would definitely be the one from the brand. This watch is clearly the club assassin. I mean, you pull up with this and the club lights and everything, it's like, shut it down. Tuck your ice in. This year, actually, they just released these new Daytonas that are full baguette down with crazy bracelets and all. Instead of having round diamonds like this one with baguettes down the middle, they actually have baguettes all down the bracelet with a fat-looking bracelet just like this. That may be the one that tops it, but I don't think so because the retail on that one seems to be less than this. As of now, so far, this is the highest retail Rolex in the world. Can't even believe I'm wearing it right now. Personally, I'm not sure if I would be going out with this watch too much myself, but usually the people that wear these type of pieces have a security detail on them. Now that we get into that conversation, you have to wonder, when you look at some of these auction houses and they auction off these watches from the 80s or the 90s that were either vintage Sarus or full paves, these watches that have factory diamonds with bracelets and everything, they usually get a massive premium at these auctions. So it leads me to wonder if a piece like this, long term, being if they only made a select amount of them, whether that number really is 5 or maybe that number is 50. We don't know, but let's assume it's somewhere in the middle. Even with that being said, we have to only assume that at some point in the future, these things are going to massively increase. It's just going to be one of those pieces that if it's that rare and that over the top, if it's well taken care of and well preserved in the long run, has to be just a home run smash hit. Right now in the market to buy one of these watches, you're going to be spending over $1 million for sure. I mean, you can't get one. Could you only imagine the amount of purchase history that you would need to qualify for one of these? If the rainbows are going for $500,000 plus, something like this definitely is double over that. I mean, it's got full pave everywhere, round diamonds and baguettes down the bracelet. It's something like 74 baguettes down the bracelet. Obviously, sides to my wrist right now, it's way less, but it comes very large. But long term, will this watch be one of those pieces that maybe gets into that $2 million range or something of that nature? I mean, I tend to want to think yes. I think when you buy a piece like this right now, you're not really just buying $1 million watch. You're obviously buying a collectible piece. This is something that there's not going to be a lot of, and it's crazy. I think one of the things that I also love about it is that in the whole collectability of it is that it's one of, right now, literally the Skydweller is the most complicated movement that they have. So you're buying the most complicated movement that they have in the full gem set presentation. I only wonder if at one point, if Rolex will ever come out with something like this with perhaps like a ruby bezel, with the ruby markers on the dial, or like a sapphire bezel with the markers on the dial. That's something that would be like out of hand, out of control. Definitely supersonic at that point. Also, guys, right now, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click that link because we can only get crazier from here after this. Now, another thing that I've realized about this watch also is it's kind of heavy. I'm not going to lie, when I first pulled it out of the coffin, the first thing that I thought was, man, is that thing platinum? But then again, it'd probably be insane to make it platinum. I think one of the reasons that this watch feels so much heavier than a standard yellow gold Skydweller is the bracelet. You would only think that to set all these diamonds, they had to drill holes into the gold so they could set them and recess the diamonds in. You would only think that the watch would get lighter. But for some reason, this thing feels like a brick. And I am pretty sure and certain that that extra weight is coming from this new design bracelet. Could you imagine having to order an extra link from Rolex? I mean, that has to be like a complete nightmare. But yes, guys, look, here you have it. The new Skydweller, full pave with meteorite and baguette bezels and baguettes down the bracelet. Supersonic piece from them. Highest retail of all time so far. We have to wait and see what's going to break it. Right now, this is $1 million+ watch. And hey, right now, you never know. We might be talking it right now. Every one of you at home might be saying, that is absurd. That is ridiculous. That's too much money. Hey, I'm even thinking right now, I mean, this ain't an easy pill to swallow. However, you never know what's going to happen in the future when later on we think, man, they were giving away that watch at that moment. I mean, I'm just being serious here. You never know. Some of these pieces, you don't think they're at that much money. When 25 years pass, 20 years, then they end up being a hit. So comment below what you think about this fully blinged out Skydweller, whether you think it's a supersonic piece or if it's atrocious. I mean, you have the right to have your own opinion. And if you think long-term, maybe this will be a cash cow quality investment piece. Also, don't forget to hit the link right now and subscribe. And stay tuned. We got more coming.